Finally, game on, same game. Like, test match is one way of playing a game. One day is other way of playing the same game. T20 is also other way of, rapid way of playing same game. Finally, same game. Different models available. Like software development, also different approaches we can follow. These approaches are called waterfall model, V model, and agile model. When you talk about the cricket game, what is the most popular model? Mostly used one nowadays? T20. Why? Less time. See, today even cricket game also a business. Test matches are happening. Is anybody watching TVs? Will anybody go to the grounds? What about T20? What about T20? Full day you sit in front of the computer. Right. See here, audience, customers will like a rapid game, very aggressive game, speedy results. Coming to test match, 4 days, 5 days, finally results may be tie or something like this. You don't get the interest in watching the game. A very rapid game, T20, very aggressive game, audience will show more interest on it. Many people will go to the grounds, many people will watch the TVs, many sponsors will come, finally there is a business generated. So as per the customer's taste, game approach is modified. The people are not watching the test matches, game modified. Also not spending complete day of time, again game modified to 20 overs. Like, as per the customer's taste, software development approach also modified. Today, most popular, mostly followed software development game is agile game, agile model. Got it? Waterfall model like a test match. V model like a one day. T20 is the most popular, like agile model is the most popular software development approach. For your understanding, I said like this. Finally, 3 models, test match or one day or T20, all are same game, but different ways of playing a game. Like, waterfall model is one way of making a project. V model, another way of developing a project. Agile model is the most popular, mostly followed approach of developing a software application recently nowadays. Last 10 years, mostly companies are following agile model for building a project. But I don't say there is no waterfall model, there is no V model. Rarely the test matches also will happen. Waterfall model also we use, V model also we use. 90% companies are following agile model. Suppose today you are developing a very small online bus booking application, a very small web application for booking online bus tickets. Only bus tickets, that's it. No other ticketing type. Simple project. Agile model not required. Waterfall model is more than enough. You are developing a supermarket billing software. One login functionality, one functionality to record the day-to-day purchaser, one functionality to record the day-to-day sales, some reports. Maximum 20-30 features will be there, not more than that. Waterfall model is more than enough. Small application, waterfall model or V model are more than enough. When you are building a ERP project, e-commerce project, banking project, definitely we have to go for agile model. Majorly software development approaches are 2 types: sequential approaches, incremental approaches. Sequential models, incremental models. Sequential meaning? Sequential meaning? One after another. First, collect all the requirements of the client. Collect all the requirements of the product. First step is completed, no pending. What do you mean by no pending? What do you mean by no pending? All requirements are documented, no pending requirements. Everything is gathered from the customer. Finally, this is what customer is wanting. Nothing to be collected from the customer. Everything is finalized. Once all requirements are gathered and documented, step 1 is fully finished, fully completed, no pending. Now enter into the second step, design. 100% design finished, no pending. Then enter into the next step, coding. Everything is coded. Code converted into application given to the QA team. This application has all requirements asked by the client, no pending. Yet one shot the project will be tested. Give it to the customer, collect the payment, story over. School management system, supermarket billing software, such kind of small applications are developed like this. All requirements of the product, entire product will be implemented at one cycle. No multiple cycles, no multiple schedules. Because we are implementing a very small application. For developing small size of application, sequential models are recommended, either waterfall model or V model. The application we are developing is very small. Requirements are very clear, waterfall model. The number of functionalities we are implementing are few, small application. Requirements are little complex or confusing, V model. I repeat. For developing any small size of application, we go with sequential approaches, either waterfall model or V model. Waterfall model suggested for developing small size of project, where the requirements are very clear, like a school management system. V model suggested for developing small size of project, where there are complex or confusing requirements, traffic signals application. Number of functionalities are very few, but design. 100% design finished, no pending. Then enter into the next step, coding. Everything is coded. Code converted into application given to the QA team. This application has all requirements asked by the client, no pending. Yet one shot the project will be tested. Give it to the customer, collect the payment, story over. School management system, supermarket billing software, such kind of small applications are developed like this. all requirements of the product, entire product will be implemented at one cycle. No multiple cycles, no multiple schedules, because we are implementing a very small application. For developing small size of application, sequential models are recommended, either waterfall model or V model. The application we are developing is very small, requirements are very clear, waterfall model. The number of functionalities we are implementing are few, small application, requirements are little complex or confusing, V model. I repeat, for developing any small size of application, we go with sequential approaches, either waterfall model or V model. Waterfall model suggested for developing small size of project where the requirements are very clear, like a school management system. V model suggested for developing small size of project where there are complex or confusing requirements, traffic signals application. Number of functionalities are very few, but a minor mistake also not agreed. Correct? A minor mistake also results in accident, damages. Scientific application, aeroplane navigation system, medical treatment software. When you see about the CT scan mission, on the top panel, there will be about 10 buttons will be there, approximately 9-10 buttons will be there, just to operate the mission. Maximum that 9-10 functionalities. Scan the human body, generating some reports. Start option, stop option, scan option, rescan option, something will be there. Maximum 10 features, but every feature is very critical. Minor mistake also not agreed. Agreed? Minor mistake also not accepted. If it is generated a wrong report, doctor will go for a wrong treatment. School management software is not working properly, school owner will keep the software side because the transactions in manual ledgers. But if a CT scan mission generating a wrong report, not working as expected, doctor may not proceed with the further treatment. For developing such critical application, where the requirements are very sensitive or very risky or very complex, very, very carefully system gets implemented. At every stage of development, testing is carried out. V model. For developing any big size of application, nowadays companies are following only one model that is called Agile model. Sir, Agile model not completely new one. Earlier there are some approaches like rapid application development model, prototyping model, spiral model. All these models are merged together. A new hybrid model is introduced called Agile model. Agile model is not completely new one. T20 game is not completely new game. Already there is an existing cricket game. The way of playing the game was modified, correct? T20 is a new game. Existing cricket game, as per the customer taste, modified as a speedy game. That's it. Existing game modified. Like Agile model is not completely new one. All models, previously there are some incremental models like rapid application development model, shortly called RAD model, prototyping model, spiral model. All these models are put together, integrated together. A new customized model, a hybrid model is introduced called Agile model. Considering advantages of RAD model, considering some advantages available in prototyping model, spiral model, removing all disadvantages, a new customized model introduced called Agile methodology, Agile model. A software development lifecycle models explain, SDLC models will explain the way of constructing a project. There are two ways of generally constructing the project: incremental approaches, sequential approaches. Waterfall model, V model comes under sequential methodology. Agile model comes under incremental methodology. Look at this one. Requirement collection is the first phase of development. Planning is the next phase of development. Designing, coding, testing, delivery, and support. Okay. A software development lifecycle model, a SDLC model will explain the different ways of developing software application. Majorly sequential models and incremental models. Waterfall model, V model comes under sequential model. RAD model, prototyping model, spiral model, Agile model comes under incremental models. Listen, the sequential models are suitable for making small size of application. The incremental models are suitable for making big projects like banking, ERP, etc. If it is a school management system, supermarket billing software, a small hospital management software, we go with either waterfall model or V model. When to go for waterfall model, when to go for V model, we'll discuss. These two models are preferred for making small applications only. When the project is a big size of project like a ERP project, banking project, e-commerce project, so there are different approaches are available. But last 12 years, these are fully outdated models, old models. Nobody is using this. These three are not in use. For developing any big size of application, companies are blindly following only one model called Agile model. This Agile model is not completely new one. It's a mixture of RAD model, prototyping model, and spiral model. All models are put together. A new hybrid model is introduced called Agile. Note on this diagram. First, take the topic in this way: SDLC models. Software development lifecycle model, shortly SDLC models. Note on this diagram, then I'll give the notes. Here we'll talk about waterfall model, V model, and agile model. Done? Finish all my thing?
Yes, sir.
Done.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So first we talk about the sequential models, waterfall model, and V model. Take topic. Take the subheading sequential models. So sequential models are suggested for making small projects. Small projects meaning number of requirements are very few. 10, 20 functionalities to be developed. Maximum 20, 30 features to be implemented. So better to go with either waterfall model or V model. When the requirements are very clear, waterfall model. Size of the project is small, requirements are very clear, waterfall model. The size of the project is small, requirements are little confusing or sensitive, V model. Take some short notes about the sequential model. Sequential models are recommended. The sequential models are recommended for developing small size of projects. For developing small size of projects. For developing small size of applications. Continuation. Waterfall model and V model are the best examples. Waterfall model and V model are the best examples for sequential models. First, let us conclude this waterfall model, V model, then we go with the incremental models. So try to understand this waterfall model. Waterfall model is suggested for making small size of projects where the requirements are very clear. We are building a school management software. Anybody can easily understand what a school need in their website. You don't find much confusion in making a school management website, correct? What a school requires for their day-to-day operation, anybody can easily understand. No complexity in understanding the requirement. When you talk about a big banking business, it's very difficult to understand all the banking transactions and all banking conditions. For developing small size of applications, where the requirements are very clear, like a school management system, like a supermarket billing software, a small online bus booking application, waterfall model suggested. In this waterfall model, any software development approach, first activity collecting the business requirements from the client. The requirements are very clear. We are developing a small project, the two requirements are very clear. Requirements are very clear. As the requirements are very clear, no need to check the requirements again, no verification here. Based on the requirement, next level of document, SRS will be prepared, system requirements will be prepared. We had a small discussion about this. High level requirements given by the client is called business requirement. What are the functionalities and non-functionalities to be implemented to meet the business requirement? If documented, it is called SRS, software system requirement. Design, high level design, then detailed design. Coding. No testing during the development. Why? No testing at the time of development. Why? We are building a small project. The two requirements are very clear. See, generally, what is the importance of doing testing from the beginning? Why generally we are doing testing from the beginning, like verification? To find out the mistakes at early stages. First of all, here we are building a small application. The two requirements are very clear. Chances of making mistake during development would be less. Why to do testing from the beginning? Waste of time. First focus on the development. After development, focus on the testing. That is the beginning days approach. In the beginning days, we used to follow waterfall model, where we used to do testing after the development. After coding, testing. We are doing testing after the development in waterfall model because waterfall model will be opted for making small size of projects where the requirements are very clear. Then deliver the project to the client. Enough. For developing small size of application, one moment. For developing small size of projects where the requirements are very clear, waterfall model will be opted. As the requirements are very clear, chances of making mistake during development would be less. Hence, testing is carried out after the development. That is only online team. Fill the remaining. Only
Please
Manually.
repeat the question.
yes. Only
Manually.
no, not manually. Only validation, no verification. Waterfall model project. The waterfall model project we opt for making small size of application where the requirements are very clear. As the requirements are very clear, chances of making mistake during development would be less. Hence, first we focus on the development. After development, only we carry out testing. Only validation, no verification. Waterfall model project. And this is the reason mostly people will say in olden days, testing will carried out after the coding. Yes, testing carried out after the coding in this kind of scenario, in waterfall model scenario. Right from the V model, only verification was introduced. Hope you understood this. Take this diagram. So why the name waterfall model? Why this approach named as waterfall model? Previously, we have seen that bridges diagrams, B model, arc model, suspension model. By seeing the diagram, anybody can understand. A meaningful name is given. Like, why this named as waterfall model? Yes. Once the requirements are finished, then only we enter into the downstream system requirement, SRS. Once the SRS document is ready, everything is finalized, no pending, then only we enter into the next page. Once you come here, will you go back? Like a water always falls down, will never go back. Like a waterfall activities will go, hence this mechanism named as waterfall model. There is no other reason for this. The development actually looks like a waterfall flow, hence this model named as waterfall model. Waterfall model we take only for developing small size of projects where the requirements are very clear. As the requirements are very clear, chances of making mistakes during development would be less, hence testing is carried out after the development. Only validation, no verification. Waterfall model projects. Take this diagram, I'll give the precise notes about it. Taken? Take some short notes about this waterfall model. Waterfall model will be chosen for developing small size of projects, where the requirements are very clear. Waterfall model will be taken for the projects, small size of projects where the requirements are very clear. Like a school management system, hospital management system, etc. Simple application. Employees leaves management system, a supermarket billing software, a small online bus booking application. For developing small size of application where the requirements are very clear, waterfall model can be opted. Continuation. Next paragraph. As requirements are very clear, chances of making mistakes during development would be less. Hence, testing is carried out after the development. That is only validation. Is clear, right? So take the next one, V model. Before I proceed further, V model. You are online team. If you have any questions on waterfall model, I clarify, then I go with the V model. Clear? For developing small size of application where the requirements are clear, waterfall model will be opted. As the requirements are very clear, the two size of the application we are implementing is very small. Doing testing from the beginning is a waste of time and money. Hence, your management will say, do testing after the development. Only validation, no verification in waterfall model. Clear, right? Online team, do confirm so that I'll go with the next one.
Sure, sir.
Yes, clear.
Yes, sir, clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes,
Take
sir.
next one, V model. V model. While explaining verification and validation, I discussed about this. Look at this one. V model will be selected for developing small size of projects where the requirements are little confusing. Medical treatment software, aeroplane navigation system, traffic signals application. So actually number of requirements are very few in traffic signals application, showing the directions. But a minor mistake also not agreed, correct? Two sides it is giving a green signal, what happened? Accident. A pilot will drive the plane based on the signal generated. If it is produced a wrong signal, what happened? He will go in a wrong direction. Satellite mechanism. A software made to launch a satellite, countdown software, something like this. A minor mistake results in crash of the satellite. Millions of dollars are spent. Years of effort will become zero because of a minor mistake of the software. Such kind of software application, number of requirement, number of functionalities are very few, but every functionality is very, very important. A minor mistake also not agreed. Such a critical application, such a sensitive application, management will choose, we go with V model. First, requirements are captured from the customers. After documenting the requirement, as we are developing a very sensitive application, 100% accuracy is expected. 0.01% defects also not agreed. In that scenario, V model will be opted. After documenting the customer requirement, end user requirement, these requirements need to be verified. Then prepare the SRS, have a check. High level design, check. Low level design, check. Low level design made as per the high level design or not. Code, verify. All it comes with verification. Do you have this verification activity in the previous model, waterfall model? No. Then build the code, check the developer code working as expected or not, unit testing. Integrate, integration testing. Build the system, system level testing. Deliver the product to the client, client also will have a final check. Together, at every stage of development, right from the requirement, at every stage of development, testing is carried out to minimize the mistakes as many as possible at early stages. This development approach is called V model. I use the same slide for explaining verification and validation because verification started from the V model. Why the name V model? It looks like a V shape. Actually, V-shaped model started called V model. So here, after the coding, instead of taking the diagram in this direction, what is wrong when I take the diagram in this direction? You call it as arrow model. There's a reason for this direction. The reason is acceptance testing is carried out based on the customer requirement. System testing carried out based on the SRS. Because SRS contains functional requirements and non-functional requirement. Integration testing input is high level design. Unit testing input is low level design. At the left side is the input to carry out right side activity. The diagram took in this direction simultaneously. Almost it looks like a V shape. People named as V-shaped models are called V model. Understood this? V model will be opted for developing small size of application where the business requirements are very sensitive or very complex. 100% quality is expected. No bugs are accepted because a minor mistake also may result in a big damage in traffic signals application. A minor mistake also results in a big damage in medical treatment software. Such kind of a critical application, project manager will say, we go with the V model very carefully. Every development activity, verify then go, verify then go, verify then go. After making one activity, do not go for second step. Check whether the work accomplished correctly or not. Yes, then only go for the next step. Such kind of development approach is called V model. As a development activity, final diagram look like a V shape, hence the people named as V model. Take this diagram quickly. Already you taken? Then Control C and Control V. Not possible? Then take it. Previously, I given the notes about verification and validation. Here, I'll give the notes about V model. Okay? Maybe matter of 2 minutes. You take it, you'll get more clarity. Online team, you take this diagram. Here, I'll explain about V model, not verification and validation. You take it, I'll be back in just 2 minutes. You take it, okay? Thank you. So what kind of projects V model will be opted? Small size of application, but requirements are very complex or sensitive, then we go with the V model. Take it. V model will be selected. V model will be selected for developing small size of projects. For developing small size of projects where the requirements are confusing or where the requirements are complex. Where the requirements are complex. Where the requirements are complex. Confusion. As the requirements are complex, chances of making mistakes during development, would be high. Chances of making mistakes during development would be high. So, to find out the mistakes at early stages, testing is carried out right from the requirements. Testing is carried out right from the requirements. That is, testing is carried out right from the requirements. That is, both verification and validation. Both verification and validation. Clear about this? Okay. So finally, for developing small size of projects where the requirements are very clear, waterfall model will be opted. Where testing carried out after the development. For developing small size of applications where the requirements are little complex or confusing, chances of making mistakes during development would be high because requirements are confusing. Hence, right from the beginning, at every stage of development, testing is carried out both verification and validation. You clear about this side? Verification activity introduced from the V model. Once verification was introduced, people have observed advantages of doing verification to find out the mistakes at early stages. It is continued in all remaining models. Only in the waterfall model, testing performed after the development, only validation. Rest of all software development approaches both verification and validation. Clear about it? Next subheading, incremental models. Incremental models. What is the meaning of incremental? Listen.
Replacing something.
It will take big projects.
We have to develop a very big project. A big project can be divided into multiple modules. Module 1, module 2, module 3, and so on. Let's say totally 6 months of time is estimated for making this project, complete project. The management may plan in this way. Let us split into 3 phases. Let us split the work into 3 phases. Phase 1, first 2 months. Second phase, next 2 months, and the last phase. In the first phase, we plan to develop only module 1. The first version will have only module 1 features. We add the second module into the second phase, module 2. The second version will be created. We add more requirements in the last phase, module 3, the next version. Version 1 will have only module 1. Version 2 contain module 1 and module 2. The next version contain module 1 and module 3. Module 1, module 2, and module 3. Right? At every phase, in multiple phases, system is getting implemented. Incremental approach, incremental models. For developing big size of projects, only incremental models will be opted. There are different incremental models available. Rapid application development model, RAD model. Prototype based development model called prototyping model. Parallel model. Agile methodology. Online team, there is some noise coming. These models are not in use. People are not using it. All are outdated. There are few advantages in RAD model. Very quickly project gets implemented. See, what is this RAD model basic structure? Say we are developing a big project. The big project divided into multiple modules first. Module 1, module 2, and module 3. I'm giving just brief idea about the RAD model, not in deep. Each module will be considered as a separate project. A big project divided into multiple modules, module 1, module 2, module 3. A dedicated team deployed for implementing module 1. Another team deployed for implementing module 2. Another team deployed for implementing module 3. These people start collecting the requirements about the module 1. These people will start collecting the requirements of module 2. These team will start working on module 3 requirement. Similarly, planning, design, coding, testing, all activities are carried out for their individual modules. One team implementing module 1, other team developing module 2, another team developing module 3. Once all modules are implemented and tested, integrated, integration testing, at one shot the project will be given to the client. A big project split into multiple modules, every module considered as a separate project, dedicated teams deployed for implementing the individual modules. In this way, all 3 modules are getting constructed simultaneously. Very quickly, system gets implemented, hence it is called rapid application development model. Rapid meaning so fast. Advantage of this model, very quickly software gets implemented. Disadvantage of this model, it demands more man resources, increase your project budgeting, increase your project costing. Like the prototyping model. Supposing we are implementing a big project, but the requirements are not clear. As the requirements are not clear, without having the clarity on the requirement, if you develop a project, there's a chance of project failures. In this scenario, first requirements are documented. Requirements are not much clear. Make a dummy called prototype. What's the meaning of prototype? A simulation, a dummy. It can be a PowerPoint presentation. First, make a dummy based on the requirements. Make a dummy simulation. Go back to the client. Explain the client, sir, this is what we are trying to build for your business. Demonstrate the prototype to the customer, not original. Original was not made. A dummy made, sample made, demonstrate to the client. Get the approval from the client. Customer said, yes, I wanted my application like this. Based on the prototype, remaining development activities will go. Prototype-based development model. If the requirements are clear, building the prototype also unnecessary time and unnecessary cost. But the advantage of this model, customer will have the clarity what I'm getting. And team have the clarity, okay, this is what customer is wanting, let us build it. For developing big size of application, where the requirements are very complex, to make the customer clear, this is what we are building for you, first make a prototype, demonstrate the prototype to the customer, get it approved. Based on the prototype, rest of the software development activities are carried out. Such kind of development approach is called prototype-based development model. Advantage, no chances of project failure because customer already approved the simulation. Disadvantage, making a prototype also kills our time and budget. Spiral model. A big project divided into modules first. Each module further divided into small pieces, requirements. Requirement by requirement system gets implemented. First implement the requirement 1, then add requirement 2. Not even module by module. Requirement by requirement, system gets implemented. It looks like a spiral net. People call it a spiral model. What is this binding generally called? Very quick cycles, not lengthy schedules. Requirement by requirement, system gets implemented in very quick cycles, very quick schedules. Flow of activities look like a spiral net, hence people call it as a spiral model. For the project, where the requirements are very frequently changing, better to plan implementing the system requirement by requirement, not many requirements together. Now, rapid application model advantage is very speedy development. Prototyping model advantage is first we are demonstrating to the customer what we are building for you, then we are building. Spiral model, rather than implementing multiple requirements at one schedule, no 2 months of schedule, 2 days of schedule, 1 week of schedule, maximum 10 days of schedule, requirement by requirement system gets implemented. Nowadays application, frequently changing business requirements. Today customer will say something I wanted like this. Tomorrow customer may change it because in competitive business strategies will very frequently change. Later what the people did, these 3 models are mixed together. A new hybrid mechanism introduced called Agile model. The Agile model is not completely new one. It is derived from the existing incremental models. Rapid application development model, the prototyping model, spiral model, all put together, a new customized model is introduced called Agile model. Make a small note about it. Incremental models. Incremental models are recommended for developing big size of projects. In incremental models, a big project, divided into modules, divided into smaller modules, then module by module system gets implemented. Not all at one shot. Then module by module system will be implemented. A big project divided into smaller modules, module by module software gets implemented. Continuation. RAD model, second one. Prototyping model, RAD model, prototyping model, spiral model, and agile model are the examples for incremental models. Are the examples, different types of incremental models. Here, the agile model is the most popular incremental model. Agile model is most popular, mostly used incremental model. Agile model is the most popular, mostly used incremental model. Listen, friends, at this moment, I'll brief about the Agile model. We have a separate module, Agile model and Agile testing. As of now, we do not know even how to write scenarios and how to write test cases. After learning the second module, SDCL, we have a separate module called Agile and Scrum. See, at this point of time, I'm just giving an outline about what is Agile model. In our course training strategy, our third module in manual testing is again Agile. Can we consider it as a performance issue? Can we consider it as a performance issue or not? Yes, it is a performance issue. Okay. We are still at software testing concept learning. After learning the manual testing, second module, practical approach to manual testing, again we have a separate module here called Agile model. We are discussing this software development lifecycle. Here I am briefing you about the Agile model. After manual testing, we have a separate module called Agile. Here I'll discuss about all this in deep. Because today you cannot understand what is a concept of epic, what is a concept of user stories and test case writing, etc. Because we do not know about how to write a test case also now. So after learning the manual testing, I'll introduce you Agile model in detail, because Jira is a Agile project management tool. After learning the Agile in detail, then we go with the Jira software, which is completely Agile model tool. Take it, Agile model. At this moment, just I'm giving a brief, Agile model. In Agile model, a big project divided into modules, like this. A big project divided into modules, module 1, module 2, module 3, then continuation. Then each module further divided into smaller components. Each module further divided into smaller components called sprints. Sprint meaning a small piece of a module can be called as a sprint, not the whole module. One module can be further split into multiple smaller pieces called sprints. Then after dividing the sprint, a module will be divided into sprint. Then sprint by sprint, the software gets implemented. The sprint by sprint, software gets implemented. So look at this one. A big project divided into modules first. A module further divided into smaller components called sprints. Not even module by module, sprint by sprint, software gets implemented. 2-3 major business requirements are considered to implement at one schedule, one sprint. A sprint meaning a short schedule made for developing a product can be called as a sprint. Let's say totally 40 requirements to be implemented in a product. In waterfall model, we plan a lengthy schedule, 3 months of schedule. All 40 requirements will be implemented at one schedule. Whereas in Agile model, totally 40 to be implemented, agree. This will be split into multiple phases. Not 3 months of schedule, 1 week of schedule, maximum 10 days of schedule. Test match schedule is about 5 days, T20 schedule about 4 hours. Rather than making a lengthy schedule, make short schedules, 1 week of time, 10 days of time, not more than that. Consider 2-3 major business requirements to implement at one short schedule. Rather than asking developers, rather than asking testers, you develop 40 requirements, you test 40 requirements. What will be split like this? This week, you develop the home page, login page, user registration page. You write scenarios and test cases for testing user registration, login, and home page. We test, finish of this. Once the 2 requirements is fully finished, I demonstrate to my client, so this week, these are the 2 features we implemented for your business. If you say okay, then we go further. Once the customer confirm, next week we plan other 2-3 major business requirements. Next week you plan other 2-3 major business requirements. Like small schedules are made. All 40 requirements will be implemented in 10-20 schedules. What is the advantage of this approach? If I'm giving a lengthy schedule for a person, slowly work will go, correct? If there is a short schedule, very aggressively work will go. If I ask my developer, you have to develop this 40 functionality 3 months of time. First 1 or 2 months, this developer will not work aggressively. Tight schedules only the developer will work aggressively. If I ask my team member, you write test cases for the 40 requirement test cases. Instead, next 2 days, you develop the home page. You develop user registration page. You develop the login page. Next 2 days, you write scenarios and test cases for home page. You write scenarios and test cases for user registration. You write scenarios and test cases for login. 3 days of time. After 3 days, there is a review meeting. You have to demonstrate the output to the Scrum Master, project manager. I'll have a review. You need to demonstrate the test cases to the project manager. I'll have a review. If I have any comments about these 2 requirements, I'll give my updates. Again, modification. Once I'm happy with the output, I'll show to my client. So this week, these 4 functionalities we have implemented for you. It's okay, or if you have any comments on this. Customer given some comments. Based on the customer given comments, if required, again modification, again testing. Again, project manager will have a final output review. Again, demonstrate to the client. Client said, okay, keep it side, plan next 2-3 requirements. Rather than asking developer 30 days, you develop this, 3 days you develop this. Rather than giving 10 requirements to developer and 30 days of time, give only 1 or 2 requirements to developer, give 2 days of time. No chance of skipping even 1 hour, correct? That too. Rather than understanding 40 requirements, you are focusing on understanding only 2 requirements where the understanding levels would be high. Instead of planning all works together, you plan small works, do it, go for next 2 requirements. Do it, next go for 2 requirements. In this way, you'll get a very productive output. It's a practical proven scenario that 30% of the budget can be saved if you go with agile model when you compare with waterfall model. If I'm developing 40 requirements in waterfall model of 3 months of schedule, the estimated cost is $100. When the same project will be opted for agile model, same project can be finished within $70. Budget saves, time saves, very productive output. Every 2-3 requirements you are showing to the client, getting the approval, no chance of project failure. And as frequent communication with the client will give you the better output. There are like many advantages of the agile model. At this moment, just I given a brief idea. We have a separate module, agile model. Further, we'll discuss in detail. Because if I continue further discussion now, this is how we have to write test case in agile model. This is how we have to write scenarios in agile model. You do not know as of now what is a scenario, what is a test case in detail, except a small definition. Some points will bounce. So further, I'll discuss about agile model and agile project management tool Jira. Clear about this. So as of now, we are keeping one topic is pending, that is agile model in detail discussion. The basic idea I have given: a big project divided into modules, a module further divided into smaller components called sprints. Sprint by sprint, software gets implemented. Sprint planning, epics, user stories. There are many technologies and many work items to be discussed in agile methodology. Further, we'll discuss after manual testing before jumping into the Jira tool learning. Clear about this. So today, majorly we have focused on 2 things: waterfall model and V model. Clear about this. Right. I stop here today. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow I'll introduce you verification and validation in detail.